2018's entry on the Don't Park in the Grass series is easily going to be the most exciting entry in the series so far, because this event not only serves as the big final tournament for the 2018 season of Melee, but it also serves as Ultimate's first big event. So for the very first time, let's take a look at the players and storylines you should be looking out for in Melee and Ultimate in Seattle this weekend. We're going to start first with Ultimate, but if you're just interested in the Melee storylines, you can jump ahead to the time on the screen to skip this brief section. If you're still here, let's talk about the interesting unknown that is Smash Ultimate's meta. As there always is when a new game comes out, there's been a ton of discussion about who should be considered among the best characters in the game. The consensus says that characters like Inkling, the Belmonts, Pikachu, and Meta Knight are potentially some of the ones that belong near the top, and Don't Park will be a great place to put this theory to the test. By no means is the results of one event going to give us a unanimously agreed ranking, but it will help significantly clear the fog of what Ultimate's meta may shake out to be. As for particular players you should be keeping your eyes out for, there's pretty much no one you can guarantee is going to be amazing at the game, which I think makes it so much more exciting. Don't Park is a Smash tournament in its purest form. Everyone has only had their hands on the game for a couple of weeks, and they're all coming from their home metas built around playing against their friends, with everyone thinking they have a shot at winning the tournament, and in some sense, that's kinda true. With that being said, there are still two groups of players you should expect to be bubbling to the top. The first is obviously former professional Smash 4 players, who arguably have the biggest head start with the game because of the many similarities Ultimate shares with Smash 4. The two biggest names in Smash 4 that are going to be at Don't Park are ESAM and MVD. Melee fans may recognize ESAM as the Samus main and Summit 2 attendee, but he made much more of a splash than he ever did in Melee and Smash 4 with Pikachu. On the recently published final Panda Global rankings for the game, he was ranked 17th best in the world, cementing him as one of the best Smash 4 players of all time. And with Pikachu being said to have retained his status as a high tier in Ultimate, ESAM is probably the safest bet to win the event, especially with all the time he's already put into the game. The other main contender from the Smash 4 world is MVD, who not only also is sponsored by Panda Global, but has been ESAM's longtime doubles partner across multiple games. MVD got his start during Brawl, and was widely considered to be one of the best Snake mains in the world, a talent that hasn't faded away over the years, as evidenced by his first place finish at Big House's Brawl side event this year. But in Smash 4, MVD instead found his success with Diddy Kong, who aided him on his way to finish as Smash 4's 31st best player on the final PGR. It'll be interesting to see if MVD will go back to the character that made him famous in Smash, now that Snake is back in the game, or if he'll stick to the character that was consistently one of Smash 4's best. So keep your eye out for his matches this weekend, at the very least to see where his character loyalty or his personal tier list truly lies. The other group that you should be keeping your eyes out for are the countless Melee players who will be throwing their hats into the ring at this first Ultimate event. This isn't too wild of an occurrence, as many Melee players did enter early Smash tournaments with mixed but mainly subpar results, such as Leffen's 9th placing with Diddy Kong at Paragon Orlando in January of 2015. But there are a lot more similarities between Melee and Ultimate than there were between Smash 4, so I think it's fair to say that some of these Melee players have a decent shot to make a run at Don't Park. If I had to bet on one of the tons of big names in Melee that are going to be entering Ultimate at the event, my money would be on Rishi or Hugs. My reason for Rishi is that beyond the fact that he's been consistently grinding away at the game over the last couple of weeks, he's been periodically attending Smash 4 tournaments over the last 4 years, as well as having experience playing both Brawl and Project M competitively. However, my biggest concern for him potentially making a deep run in Ultimate is that he's also slated to enter Melee singles, where he could potentially jump his end of year rank by 2 or even 3 spots with a couple of big wins, so if Rishi is able to effectively divide his attention is going to be a huge factor. On the other hand, Hugs announced that he would be dropping out of Melee singles at Don't Park, so he won't have to worry about that. But his game and character diversity is a bit of a concern for Melee's top 30 Samus, who isn't listed as attending any Smash 4 tournaments besides the Invitational, and who is famous for his decade-long commitment to almost exclusively playing Samus, even in friendlies. But honestly, making any sort of bold predictions about how well people who play a 17-year-old party game will do at a 2-week-year-old party game is pretty much impossible, but it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. Also, be on the lookout for other notable names in Melee like SVAT, Swedish Delight, Nun, and Moki to see how well they stack up to the competition in Ultimate. And that about does it for the Smash Ultimate players and storylines you should be keeping your eyes out for, so let's jump over back to Melee. Putting up a respectable performance at the last major tournament of a ranking season is always so important because even though panelists try to avoid leaning heavily on recency bias, this is the tournament that's going to be freshest in their heads. So the stakes are huge for the players duking it out at Don't Park, as one bad loss could be all it takes to knock them out of contention for the top 20, top 50, or even be the deciding factor on if they make the rankings. Unfortunately, the seeding and bracket for the event isn't out as of the creation of this video, so we can't discuss specific projected matches, but we can still highlight some people you should have your eyes on. So let's begin by looking at the top contenders for taking home the gold at Don't Park. When looking at the attendees, Zayn is the highest ranked player in attendance at the event, which makes him the obvious first choice to win. But despite there being a lot of spacies in attendance that he has historically dominated, like SFAT who is 9-0 against this year, the event is by no means a lock for him, in large part to S2J's attendance. At the similarly skill-tiered Roast of Hugo back in September, Zayn was the top seed, but S2J double eliminated him in a dominating fashion by only dropping a single game across their 2 sets, so we could very realistically see a similar result here at Don't Park. But Zayn was able to finally overcome his other Captain Falcon demon by breaking his 3-set losing streak against Wizrobe at Summit, so maybe he'll be able to do it here with S2J as well, even though the two play Falcon very differently. But this is all assuming that S2J makes it all the way through the bracket to meet up with Zayn. He's 4-1 against SFAT and 0-1 against both Swedish and Nunn for the year, so he's most likely going to have to overcome at least one of these negative head-to-head records to end up in winners finals at the event. But S2J is pretty safe rank-wise, as barring an absolutely hard performance, he's all but guaranteed to be ranked around 11th to 13th for his year of results that puts him in the same skill tier as players like SFAT. He's one of the few attendees with a win on Zayn, and actually has a respectable 2-3 record against him for the year, despite being swept 3-0 the last time they met at Summit 7, which was an overall disappointing event for the Sheik main. The Armada Slayer Swedish Delight is the only other player at Don't Park that I could also realistically see winning the event. Late in the bracket, Swedish is going to be hoping to avoid his problem matchup against Fox, namely against SFAT, who he's lost 3 straight against, KJH, who he sits even 2-2 for the year but he lost their last 2 at Combo Breaker, and even the UK's Professor Pro, who is hungry for top 100 wins at his first major event in the US all year. So only time and the projected bracket will tell if Swedish can end his 2018 on a high note. Beyond these 3, there are a few more talented players at the top level you should be keeping your eyes out for. First, there's a huge list of talented high-level foxes that are also going to be at the event, like Fiction, Absent Page, KJH, IBDW, Moki, Ryan Ford, and Hacks. There's so much talent on that list that it's almost certain one of them will make a deep run of the event, and potentially even upset one of the top 3 contenders to win. Fiction and Absent Page would be my 2 favorites out of this list to pull something off, with how solid of a second half of the year that both of these guys have had, and with Absent Page's 4-1 record on S2J for the year. Nunn has also been more consistent this year than people are willing to give him credit for, so it'll be interesting to see if he's able to put up a performance that reminds people that there really are 3 Captain Falcon mains in the top 20. And lastly at the top level, I've again got to highlight Squid and Captain Faceroll, the 2 recently sponsored Irvine boys who have had a hot final quarter of Melee that was punctuated by both of them finishing in top 8 at GTX, which is a performance they're both looking to emulate this weekend in Seattle. And finally, before we end off this video, I want to briefly highlight some of the amazing overseas talent that is looking to make a final splash stateside that will hopefully allow some of them to push themselves into the top 100 for the year, or at the very least, get their names more well known in the collective Melee consciousness. On your radar should be Nebby, who is an exciting Yoshi main from the Netherlands, Frenzy, the Falco main from the UK who placed 9th at Super Smash Con this year, Nikki, one of Germany's best foxes, and finally Spud, the Australian Moth main who won Bridgetown Blitz earlier this year by taking wins over Nunn, Moki, and Professor Pro. If you want to learn more about this handful of European rising stars or about Spud, I've actually made individual videos talking about their come-ups in the scene, so if you want to learn more about them, click on the cards in the top right. And that about does it for this video. If there are any players you think I missed out on that you think are going to make a deep run at any event at Don't Park on the Grass 2018, tell us about them in the comments down below so we can all become more informed viewers for this weekend. Also, if you're looking for more information about the stream schedule for the festivities, a link to the Smash GG page will be down in the description. And that's about it for this video. I've been SaveAsUntitled, and I will see you guys next time.